Patreon member shout out. I don't know what it is that makes me love you so. I only know I never wanna let you go. 'Cause you started something, oh can't you see? That ever since we met you had a hold on me. It happens to be true. I only wanna be with you. It doesn't matter where you go or what you do. Hey guys, how's it going? It is I, the real Randy Chavez. I'm coming at you today with a Veve OMI update video. Guys, if you're new, welcome. If you're not, welcome back. I love y'all. And say hello to Dashi. Hello, Dashi. Commenting, liking, and subscribing is a free way to help support the channel. If you find this information helpful, non-free ways to help support the channel are Patreon and hitting that thanks button down below. So, today, something I need to go over, which I don't think is any real thing. Like, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. And what has happened, the bill that has been leaked here is right now, the leaked documents and the rules outlined in this need to be taken with a grain of salt because the authenticity of this is not confirmed. It's probably just going to be something that is just the first draft of something. This is going to take months, if not longer, to really be voted on, and there's going to be a lot of help that the government's going to be needing with this. So yeah, let's get started. Watcher Guru reports the U.S. bill allegedly leaked. Regulators to go hard this time? ? So the good part is we have a couple of people that really want to help us out with this. Shibatoshi Nakamoto says, looks like the new U.S. crypto bill that has been leaked goes hard after crap tokens, DAOs, DeFi, stablecoins, and exchanges. For the most part, that's not really us. It's not really OMI. Ecomi has a very good legal team and has been bending over backwards to not be labeled as security. So again, even if these things were real, I don't really think this would affect Ecomi all that much. But we do have shout out to @AdamsCochran on Twitter saying that, just giving us a breakdown, saying the first read of some good stuff that moves us forward, but a lot of rough stuff. Overall, the crypto, this gives U.S. crypto clarity, but will have a huge cost and growing pains. Here's what he noticed in the first read. He goes, requires DAOs to be registered entities in the U.S., don't count as disregarded entities. If not registered in the U.S., the U.S. views it as personally taxable. Requires all exchanges and stablecoin providers to be registered entities. Unclear of language for DeFi. Moving on, he says it clears up that security laws and puts a lot of assets as commodities under the CFTC. If there is any debt, equity, profit, revenue, dividend of any variety, then it is now expressly not a digital asset commodity, which is interesting. One of the most interesting parts that I saw was new disclosure requirements would make anonymous run projects almost impossible to comply under the law. So basically, any team that is not fully doxed is going to be heavily scrutinized. So you really need to, if you kind of want this to survive, a project to survive, the team needs to be doxed. Like this, I think, what Taps Trade said the other day when I was interviewing him, or everybody, that you need a good amount of centralization and you need a good amount of regulation. You are not going to get big money in unless this type of thing happens. And again, this will be slow, this will be painful, this is not going to be fun, but this is the type of thing that's needed to get big, giant money in. So, moving on. He continues saying that anything that trades one digital asset meets the burden of being a digital asset exchange. Current language seems like it would include AMM. So here's what I'm thinking. That trades one digital asset meets the burden of being a digital asset exchange. Now, does that mean because we have NFTs that are being sold? It's not that right now it's not being sold for another digital asset. Like an NFT is not being bought by crypto. It's being bought by gems, which is their stable coin, but that is, it's not by another crypto, and gems are not a crypto itself. And when they say not a digital asset commodity, the bill only decides that it would not be a digital asset under the commodities definition. It does not say that suddenly it's a security. So like for everyone that would be saying like that there's some ridiculous person on Facebook like that just expresses as a matter of fact, like, oh yeah, OMI's gonna be a security. Like, the misinformation out there is absolutely ridiculous. Dude, I don't even want to say trust but verify. Don't even trust, verify for yourself. Go to places that have a lot of info on here. So again, just because that they say it's not a digital asset commodity does not mean that it's automatically a security. It just says what it's not. So moving on, Adam says that exchange oversight is going through the roof, huge increase in compliance costs, so fees would go up, but likely better listings and no trading against their own users. A lot of this is probably going to came from that Terra Luna fiasco. He moves on to say bankruptcy definition changes are a win for users, making it clear assets deposited would get returned to users and not liquidated. So for example, if you put in a whole bunch of money into Coinbase and Coinbase declares bankruptcy, they will not be able to take your Bitcoin or take your Ethereum and use that to sell so that they can, pay some of their debt. That's, they would not be able to do that. And the fee offsetting rules mean exchanges will have to pay government from fees, likely putting costs up. So basically, they would have to pay the government if anyone declares bankruptcy from the fees that they get every time trades are accrued or whatever. So it doesn't go to their pockets; it goes to the fees, which again, the fees will go up, but you do get a little more security. It says weird requirement of users basically having to agree on a TOS based on source code version. So this one I thought was interesting because if you have I read in the bill that said every time they change their TOS, like for example, if Ecomi or Veve were to go, by the way, there's an update on the Veve app right now, so go download that, go to the App Store and update that. Basically, it means that every time they were to change their TOS to say, I don't know, to add one thing. Well, let's say whatever they need to add, it doesn't matter. Let's say they have a new partner, so they have to change their entire TOS for a new source code to add one line that says, which includes Harry Potter as their IP. Just if we get that. Then we have to suddenly agree every time. It would be an update, and you would have to agree to the terms of service every single time. Is that a big deal? No, it's not. I think that does force people to read, though. I think that forces people to go and say, oh, what are they changing? Which is actually really good, because I think that will inculcate a lot of research amongst people. Now, there are going to be some people like, okay, click, that's fine. But I do think, and this doesn't really have anything to do with the Ecomi, but I do think that there would be some bad actors and some projects out there say, oh, let's change the source code to say this. Have everybody agree to it because most people are just going to click agree and not care. And then you might have some bad actors try to do something. But again, if all of this were to get passed as is, which I don't think it would, I think this is just a draft, then you would have those people that are doing those bad actors, they're going to be fully doxxed because they're not going to be able to go and even get to this point to try to do that to people unless they're fully doxxed. So again, that's if this whole thing passes. Adam says any update to source code requires a new agreement. Language isn't clear enough to rule out variables as is based on changes that would impact economics. So that's his interpretation of that. 8 out of 12. He says extends powers to a lot of regulators to investigate and advise on additional regulations in new areas. Means if this passes, this wouldn't be the full scope until at least 90 days after the act. And again, that's if this passes. Within an election year this year, I don't think this passes this year. It gives depository institutions the right to issue stablecoins, which is good. It gives clear compliance requirements and penalties. They are all higher than we'd like, but at least it is clear and not rules via enforcement. It says it would seek to unify some money transmission laws across states, which would help a lot in the U.S. Would also go through expand information sharing between agencies, both state and Fed, which kind of sucks. 11 out of 12 says plenty of good in here to at least make clear crypto is allowed in the U.S., but it aims to regulate it as strictly or even more strictly than banks and current financial service providers, which is good if you want to keep people safe. It's really not good for growth, but he says that not a lot of room for DeFi and none for anonymous users and non-regulated DAOs. Or again, people who aren't doxxed are not going to be able to do a lot of stuff. This looks like it was only a draft bill and may not be complete, final, even real. Again, said that from the beginning. He said this would be good very long term for big entities, but super painful near term for 99% of crypto. But again, if the only crypto that's attached with Disney is probably going to have an okay time with this. He goes, P.S. Since this is just the first form of the bill, this is when lobby groups will start to get involved and will help try to shape and iron out some of the clunky language that would be problematic. So it isn't all hope isn't lost. And again, I think I might know somebody that can help with that. He may have been on the podcast. I don't know. But there is good intent here. He says, double postscript. He says, that said, anything with dividends, etc., looks like it's really going to be hung out to dry here. Not a clear path to saving that if this bill went through. But again, we are not a security. We don't have that any type of dividend thing, so we're good on that. He continues on to say that we had some nuance pointed out to me on the DAO part. The requirement of the registration is for the tax benefit, and without it, you'd be an unincorporated association, but there are other ways to not have that tax flow through. Wanted to make sure it's clear it's not a bunch of it's not to ban a bunch of DAOs. One last thing, he says, some have also disagreed with me on the pessimism in which I'm interpreting the broad nature of dividends clause applying to smart contract fees. That's fair. I just don't have a lot of faith in the U.S. regulators on this topic. That could get ironed out more. And again, like I said, this is really just a first draft. So somebody asked, could you clarify on point 4? Does this mean all NFT projects would have to essentially dox themselves? Which is what I've been saying. But he says it's super unclear how any of it would apply to NFTs, but it puts a lot of requirement on filings for projects, mostly service providers. Those filings have to have the names or registered entities, which again, our team is fully doxed, so we don't really fall under that. So NFTs may continue to be able to exist outside of the framework, but who knows, which again, wouldn't really affect us. Anyway, guys, that's it for me today. Comment down below if you like Dusty Springfield, that song that I did. Comment down below if you have any questions about this, and me and everyone will try to go through it. Everyone say bye-bye to Dashy. Bye-bye, Dashy. And everyone please check out at HeyDaveDon and at KMavsForever over on the Twitter, Standoff Chart and King Mavs over on the Veve app, Kobe Collects and OMI Player 1 over on the YouTube, RayThax.eth domain name, Kyle Willson, Wendy Stibalis, Puddin Cheeks, Veve Las Vegas, Taps Trades, Mars Davis, Legacy of Bermuda, Sody Pop Media, Veve Darklink, Meadow Lemon, Veve Vibes, all on the YouTube. You got Nomad with Guitar, at Wet Wizard Veve, and Gary O at 1234CA3, all on the Twitter. I follow them as well. Bye-bye, Dashy. Again, all right, bye, guys. Meow, meow.